2 years ago, Americans watched in horror as a crisis unfolded at the Kabul airport.
She was tear-gassed and beaten.
Images of thousands desperate to escape Taliban oppression filled our news feeds. More than 80,000 Afghans made it to America. But the story didn't end there.
It was very cold. There was no power, no heat.
Who would help our newest neighbors? I'm Andrea Smartin. In Stranger Becomes Neighbor, you'll hear the stories of some remarkable refugees who left their homes and their dreams behind, only to start over from zero.
Their only possession was 3 blankets.
And you'll meet Americans who stepped up to help them.
You want me to come when you deliver your baby.
What can one person do in the face of an international disaster decades in the making? That's Stranger Becomes Neighbor. Find us at kslpodcast.com. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you listen.
You're listening to Project Recovery, a podcast about addiction. But more importantly, what, Dr. Matt?
It's about recovery, Casey.
That's right. And we've got a great show for you today. We've got Tiffany and Evan from USARA Peer Support. They are specialists with them. And we're going to talk to them and find out their story in just a second. But before we get to that, how is the half pipe in the backyard going?
Oh, it's great. Well, we hit a rainy weekend. And so the masonite on top of that you skate on the surface, I've been really worried about that. So it's been a big source of stress. Had to tarp it, tent the tarp, make sure the rain didn't get in there. But I think we're good to go. We're back to skating now.
Have you dropped in yet?
No, I haven't. I'm working up to it. But,
for those who don't know, what is dropping in?
Dropping in is when you stand up on the lip of the ramp or the
And
half
how high
pipe.
is it?
This one is about a 4-foot drop into. It's a half pipe that's 20 feet long and 8 feet wide. So it's kind of a backyard size and about a 4-foot drop in. And you drop in by, usually you can do like a tail drop, stand there with your tail and then slide in. You go in and back and forth and up and down, do all sorts of tricks. I'm overweight and old. So that's not a great combo, but I'm working on it. The kids are doing great. The kids are doing awesome. And, keeping them outside, keeping them busy.
If you were online dating, would you say overweight and old?
I would, actually. I don't want anybody thinking they're getting something they're not, right? Like,
there's truth in advertising.
Overly honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lazy. I'd put that in there.
But I got a half pipe.
Right.
Hey, let's get to our guest today, and they're with USARA. We've got Tiffany and Evan. And Tiffany, we're going to start with you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
So, Tiffany, when we do a podcast, and
she asked you how you were.
I was just going to call you on that.
Come on. To be honest with
you, she asked you how you're doing.
I don't think I'm sleeping great, Tiffany. I think because the world is so crazy and chaotic right now, and I just don't think I'm sleeping great. And
it's an honest response. I think a lot of people are struggling with that.
But I'm trying to meditate more, and that seems to help, but there never seems to be enough time in the day. Now, I know we all get the same 24 hours, but I think I screw off a lot of my time.
That's a type of meditation. Maybe.
So, and to short, I'm doing okay.
Thank you for
I've been better,
me.
and I could be worse. So, but I'm happy to be here with you because you're here to share a story with us.
Yes.
And Tiffany, where does your story begin?
So I'm Tiffany and I'm a person in long-term recovery.
What does long-term mean to you?
It means that I am constantly growing and developing into to the best version of me.
Does a person to consider themselves being in long-term, do you have to be sober or in recovery for a certain period of time? No, you just feel like it's a commitment.
It's a commitment.
This is my commitment to long-term. My life is going to be about recovery.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm dedicated to that.
How did your story begin?
I didn't start young. I did dabble a little bit, and had fun with friends, just using recreational. And then
like drinking in high school or something? Is that what you're talking about?
Using substances, drugs. Mm-hmm. And then age 24 is when my substance use started. I just had, it was just heartbreak that led me there. I was expecting something and someone to complete me. right? I wasn't looking at it inside. I was looking for it on the outside for someone to give me that. And so by doing that, I was let down, and I started using substances on a daily basis, and all my dreams went out the window. Since a little girl, I dreamt to be this perfect wife and this perfect mother, and I thought I had that, and as soon as I started depending on a substance, I gave up those dreams, and eventually I left my kids to go live on the streets with the dope dealer, and I was on the streets for like 6 years, seeing my kids just whenever I could get the energy or get a ride or whatever, so
I can see it's still painful for you to talk about it.
It is painful, but I'm working through it. So
do you think that pain ever goes away?
Oh yeah. There's healing involved. Yeah. So yeah.
There's got to be healing.
I believe that I can heal from it. Yeah. So I'm 3 years in, and so I'm still working on it.
But it's a lifelong process.
It is.
And you said you were running and gunning on the streets for about 6 years. Often when we do this podcast, and I don't know if it's fair to say, but usually it comes down to a rock bottom. Mm-hmm. What did your rock bottom look like?
So for me, sadly to say, it wasn't, losing my kids or losing materialistic things or anything like that. It was actually losing my soul. I felt that I was becoming somebody that I had no clue who I was. And I just remember staring at myself in the mirror and just couldn't find who I was. And that scared me,
I've been there. I did that. I remember looking in the mirror and the person looking back at me, I had no idea who it was. And that was one of the darkest times of my life, going, who am I? Because the guy that's looking back is not who I wanted to be, not who I am, and is not going to win. And that's where I got my fight. I was like, that guy is not going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think rock bottom is a valid thing to talk about, because I think we use that term, but what it really represents is an individual's realization and self-perception of, like, this can't go anymore for me. Like, my rock bottom is my moment of clarity that promotes some behavior change. And so, like you said, a lot of people hearing your story might feel like, oh, well, losing my kids would be my rock bottom, or living on the streets would be my rock bottom. And it's like, no, you never know what a person's rock bottom is, because it's so personal. And for you, it was this, I guess, derealization, depersonalization, not knowing who you are, that finally kicked off what?
It kicked off the gift of desperation to change something, right? So to reach out to live, because forever I was trying to die, and that wasn't working. And so just to do whatever I could, not to just survive, because I was surviving for years, but to actually change that to live a life.
Were you struggling with polysubstance abuse, or did you have a particular drug of choice?
Poly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so kind of whatever you could get your hands on.
Yeah, at the end I was just whatever. Mm-hmm.
And what was that like, living on the streets? You said you were...
you're a beautiful woman, and if I were to see you in the store, and that's what's so aggravating about addiction, is you think it looks one way and you have no idea, because it takes all shapes, all forms, all sizes. But if I were to see you on the street, I'd be, no, she never lived on the street.
Yeah, it does. Any of us can be affected by it and end up there, right? But living on the streets brought a lot of trauma, and it was scary. It was very lonely. I was constantly, I always say I was constantly starving, and not just starving, for our basic needs like food or for the next fix, but starving for true connection, friendships, just love, just acceptance. It was really scary.
So what did help look like in the form to you? I mean, where did you find help?
I found help first through prayer. That's what helped me first, right? And a higher power. And then from there, it moved to my family. They gave me one final chance, which I'm forever grateful for that. They invited me back into their homes. And
was that hard for them?
Yes, very. I'm sure. I know that they all got together and talked about it, if I even deserved another chance. And
had you had quite a few already at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm very blessed for that. And then, I got involved with felony drug court, and that was a huge help. And I was involved with them. I walked into USARA, and it just felt like home to me.
Found a community.
It's opened my world to something very beautiful. So.
For the listeners, what's felony drug court? We've talked a little bit about it before, but what is that?
So it's a program where we get another chance, right? So I have all these charges that I was running from, I could be sent to prison, which was scary for me because I never had.
So these were serious charges.
Yes, yeah. Drug-related charges, and so they give you this chance to do a program, and then after you get done, you can get your stuff expunged,
And so how long a process is a drug court?
Right now it's 18 months. When I went, it was a year. But some people, you can go 3 years. So it just depends. But the shortest amount is 1 year.
So you got 3 years of sobriety underneath your belt. You're working with USARA. You're a peer support specialist. What does that mean?
That means that I get to use my own life experiences to help peers in recovery, I really love it. I get to, I'm hoping that I help people that they don't have to go through the same stuff that I've been through. And if they have, help them heal from that. So.
And also I think on the other side of that is let them know that there is success. Mm-hmm. Because I think so many of us look at this and you've lost all this stuff and you think I'll never be able to get it back, and you hear relapse rates and you hear horror stories. But I think we really need to put a positive shine on those who are doing wonderful things and getting their lives back and living fulfilled lives. I remember I tell people all the time, I got sober to live. I didn't get sober to hide. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are hiding. And if that works for them, that works for them. But there's another side of life, too, and that you can get it back and you can get a second chance. And I am grateful for second chances, more so than you'll ever know, because I've given a lot of people reasons to never pick up the phone. But when I've called in desperation, they picked it up. And boy, am I thankful.
Mm-hmm.
I think you modeling the recovery in sort of a peer-to-peer treatment or so to speak in lots of different areas of mental health has been proven to be extremely effective because of the type of relationship you can create with them that a professional, a doctor, nurse, whomever, isn't really capable of. And one of those elements is hope, like you're talking about, Casey, where by you being able to sit there and be well put together and be in recovery and be talking about how your life is now, but still at the same time maintaining relatableness with them, creates a level of hope. And if you look at the science on behavior change, any kind of behavior change, the concept of hope is one of the most powerful elements or agents in behavior change. If I'm hopeful, if I have true hope, then I'm more likely to follow through on changing my behaviors, whatever those are. And so peer-to-peer stuff is extremely effective in helping engender hope in the people that are feeling hopeless, let's be honest, right?
Yes.
So what would you say to somebody out there that's struggling?
Oh, I would say that there's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of people that are willing to hold your hand, to guide you, to just to be there for you and to love you. You're worth it. You're
and someone that's here for you is Evan. We got Evan over there. What's happening? You just been sitting there kind of quiet.
No, I was listening to Tiffany. She was killing it. So
Evan, you're also a peer support specialist. Tell me what this program means to you.
As far as USARA goes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a new single dad raising a 18-month-old boy by myself. I went through family recovery court, which is a little bit different than felony. It is for parents who are involved with DCFS, And so I'd ran into trouble. I always wanted to be a good dad, but I didn't know how to. So I got this opportunity to join family recovery court, and that's when things started to change. So when you sign up for it, you're kind of signing your life away for an amount of time. You get to basically go by their orders. And so, they had me go to treatment, which, I don't think there was any other circumstance or anything that I would have gone to treatment for. That was the only one thing that I wasn't willing to lose in my life was my son. And so anyways, at that point, they had taken custody from me, and they said, here's your options. And so I didn't have any like confidence that I was going to succeed. But I said, I have to try, because I'm going to at least say that I did my best, And anyway, so with Family Recovery Court, I got to go to treatment. DCFS works with them. I got to get my son back. And, pretty soon, like, I went, oh, wow, I can live without substances. I can do this. Recovery looks good on me, and I'm proud to be this person. So then what I ended up doing is I was there for about a year, graduated successfully, was super proud of that. But then when that all ended, I said, well, now what do I do? Like, my recovery doesn't just stop here. I'm not cured, so I've got to continue to do something. And what that looked like for me is I started reaching out. I was a broke single dad at almost 30 years old, living in my mom's basement with my 2-year-old son, trying to figure out what life looks like. And what that looked like for me is, I found USARA, and they had this thing, Family Fun Night. So you can bring your kids, eat pizza, a free movie, and that's, to me that was appealing. I was making close to minimum wage at that time, and I was like, okay, this is something I can be a part of.
I can get behind this.
Yeah. So me and my son would show up on Friday nights, and we'd go to USARA and just eat pizza, watch a free movie, and like be a part of a community, because, the most lonely time that you'll ever find in your life is right after sobriety, because there's certain people you can't associate with anymore, and you really find yourself trying to identify, re-identify yourself. And so, that's what we did. And so me and my son would go to USARA on Friday nights, watch a movie, eat pizza, go home, and that's how I got involved. I mean, I joke all the time, but I'm like, I just hung around there long enough that I got put on the payroll, but I just stayed around, I was like, these are my people, and we all have something in common, and we all support each other.
Now, this is going to be a common thread that's been on Project Recovery since day one. Matt, what's the opposite of addiction?
Connection.
And it sounds like you found your connection.
Yep, absolutely.
And so much, in fact, that you want to give that connection to others. And that's what you guys do as a peer support specialist. So for those who don't know, what is USARA?
So USARA stands for Utah Support Advocates for Recovery Awareness. That's the acronym. But, everybody that works at USARA is in recovery themselves. So we go from our executive director, who is 32 years, and everybody has been there. We all have a common ground. Like, we're not all the same people. We're not all the same race. We're not all the same, but we all have something in common, and that is our community. That is our family. We join together, and we support others that are, trying to be in recovery, using our own lived experience, to boost other people up and do the same thing for other people that somebody did for us.
That's so important to give back in the recovery world. So for those who don't know, what could USARA do for them out there?
So USARA has, a lot of free reign as far as like what we can do. If somebody's just looking for harm reduction, they're not done using, but they want access to needle exchange. We can do that, or we can set them up with that. they want to go to treatment, we'll try to connect them with those resources. And usually we're really successful at it. But it is somebody to meet you where you're at and say, look, I'm here for you. And not only am I here for you, I've been there. I've been through the withdrawals. I've been through all of this. Like, what can we do to help you? We're not here to tell you what to do. Like, how can we best support you?
Tiffany, USARA seems like a great resource for those who don't know. And I think a lot of times when we're in the addiction world, we're like a deer in the headlights when it's first presented to us, because there is so many unknowns, so many different things out there that we don't know where to turn. It seems like USARA would be a great place to turn.
Absolutely. It is a great place. Just like Evan was saying, that we meet people where they're at. So we welcome anybody and everybody.
I love that.
I think that's important for the listeners to hear, because two of the big things, a lot of people use, it maybe feels like a roadblock to them to get some help is, well, I'm not 100% sober.
I'm not ready. I'm not committed.
Right. So what you're saying, that's a phrase we've talked about before, harm reduction. If a person knows their life is not going the way they want and they need some help and they need some support, but they're not quite done using, they can still contact you?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what is that? Do those people tend to benefit? Do you feel like that's helpful to them?
Mm-hmm. Because some people don't know about harm reduction, right? So they just think it's, like you said.
It's all or nothing.
All or nothing. And so if they come in, peers come in and they express that they're not ready, then we can give different resources for safer using, like needle exchange, like Evan was saying, or just
get them off the streets if you can.
Mm-hmm,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important. Tell me real quick about the two programs. Now, you said you went through the drug court and you went through the family.
So there's family drug court, felony drug court, and there's a couple others. They're called specialty courts.
And does every city have those?
No. So, we are super fortunate in the Salt Lake County to have that. Some of the remote counties only have one or the other, but it's an amazing program.
What have you? I don't expect a statistic, but like how big of an impact have these specialty courts made for our community? That from what you're aware of,
I think it's hard to put a statistic to it. It's, are we talking about 1 year, 5 years? I would say the majority of the people that I went through family drug court with are succeeding,
Cool.
Far more than without their help. And I would guess felony drug court's the same way. Like, it has built, it gave us a really good foundation, and it was on us to go from there.
I guess I would say some's better than none.
Yeah, and I think the statistics I have heard about our specialty courts here in Salt Lake County, they've been quite successful, and that we have a much higher rate of people in treatment, in recovery, living sober lives, giving back, than in similarly sized cities that don't have the specialty courts.
I heard Evan speaking about it, and I think that I'm in a similar situation with the 24/7 program that's up in Ogden, where you said you gave them a commitment. I gave the 24/7 a year of my life. I go there every day, Monday through Sunday, Christmas, holidays, birthdays, you name it, I'm there. And I go between 6:30 and 8:30 in the morning and blow, and I go there in the evening between 6:30 and 8:30 and blow. And that's what I have to do in order for me to have a license, to be able to provide for my family, to be able to work, to be able to get around. And the people that I'm in that group with, there is a great success rate. I don't think there's been anybody in that group that I've been there with that hasn't succeeded.
Really?
Wow. Not that
That's
I know
impressive.
of. And so it is. And it's given me accountability. It's given me – you said something that really struck me when you said after you graduated that case, what now? And I remember when I got my first year of sobriety, which I never thought was possible.
Right.
I was like, I got it. Now what? I didn't know what to do. And then I got in this program, so I got another year. And September 13th is when I graduate. And then that's going to be my next. Now what? And I'm just going to keep moving forward. And I think that's what we do in this world. And we keep moving forward, we give back, and we help those that helped us.
And I think for those of us that are in recovery, like giving back and picking the other people up, the same way that we were held up is what makes the most, that's what's most important. We get to support others the same way we were supported, because I had somebody tell me, I had a therapist who helped me through treatment, and I said, thank you for everything you did. What did you do? And she just said, I just loved you until you were able to love yourself, and that just hit me so hard, because somebody else believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And so now I try to pass on the same thing with other people, like I just want to show them that they're worth it.
So if somebody were in your program coming in for the first time, what's something you might do for them as a peer support specialist?
I think it's just get on their level. So we get to sit down, meet face to face, and say, what do you want? What is it that you're looking for? Whether that be treatment or, hey, I'm not ready to quit, but I want to get to that point. Okay, well, what's some goals that we can set? Can we slow down the use? Can we maybe just, decrease it a little bit till you get to that point? Do you want to go to treatment? Do you just want somebody to talk to? Do you have family members who want to know how to support you? What is it that you want? And we have, a ton of resources. Some people it's just like, hey, I just want to find a sober living that'll work with my felony record. Okay, let's hook you up, So it's really just sitting down and meeting with them face to face and saying, look, I've been there and we're here to do whatever it is that you want to do. So, let's just figure out what that looks like.
So where can people find a USARA that might be able to help them?
So USARA, our website is www.myusara.com, USARA. Facebook, social media. Our phone number is 385-210-0320 if you want to just call and talk to somebody, on the phone. And like I said, we're all just here just to try to help,
I love that. Well, I want to say thank you very much, Tiffany and Evan, for stopping by, telling us your stories, sharing all the fun. Can you say fun? Because I
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
things aren't worth doing if they're not fun.
Amen. Drop into that ramp, Matt.
I'm going to. I'm getting there. You'll get a video. We'll put it on the Facebook.
See what I did? I brought it back. Hey, thank you guys very much. You've been listening to Project Recovery, brought to you by useonlyasdirected.org. They got a 3-part solution: speak out, opt out, and of course, throw out. Project Recovery, it's a KSL podcast.
The contents of this program are for informational purposes only. The program is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed therapist, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this program. KSL does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the program. Reliance on any information provided on the program is solely at your own risk.